Hey everyone, Matt Morrison here with Tithely. Just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about the content on your website. It's not a really exciting topic, right? It's not as exciting as design and the visual appeals and all those things, or the functionality and really great new features and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, the content really is the primary piece of your website that's going to either have people feeling like they understand who you are and what you're trying to do at your church, or being confused and feeling like it's too complicated and possibly deciding that maybe this isn't going to be a great fit for them. And so what I want to do is kind of talk for a couple minutes here, whether you've got an existing website with a lot of content on it that you're trying to make sense of and kind of do a bit of an audit and clean up, or you're setting up a brand new website and really trying to figure out what to put on that website. We just want to take a couple minutes to talk about how you land on that content, how you determine what the right content is, and in most cases, determine what the wrong content is that you actually need to remove from that site. And so I have a few principles here that I just wanted to go over. And if you take nothing more from this video here today, this first principle is so important, which I think is that less is always more. It's that old adage that making something really simple is actually a lot harder than making something way overly complex and wordy in this context. It's a lot easier to just write everything you're possibly thinking and paste it up onto your website and hope for the best. But the reality is that specifically when it comes to website content, the way we read the web, the more text we see, the more visual clutter of anything we see, the harder it is for us to focus on what's really important. And we kind of just really are scanning through things to kind of pick out keywords here and there. I often say that in a paragraph on the web, I feel like from sentence to sentence, each one you actually lose 50% of the people. So, most people will be willing to read the first sentence. By the second sentence, you've got half of them left, and so on and so forth. And so the more you're writing, the harder it's going to be for people to understand what really matters. Now, does that mean no content? You just think everyone wants visuals or videos or any of that stuff? That's not what I'm saying. What we actually need to do is just really strategically break up our content into digestible pieces that people can kind of easily absorb. Reading on a screen, the reality is it's just different than reading on paper or in a book. And so we just have to think about it a little bit differently, but we also need to be curators of that content to really make sure we're just communicating the most important pieces at any given time. Now, we know that there are people out there who are deep divers who really want all the details, all the information. And so what we want to do is make that available to them. For those people, there's always the option to put kind of a view more or read more link. And we press that and we can get taken to a page where we kind of go into more of that deep dive. But when we're talking about those primary pages across our website, that's not the time to make sure that every single detail is covered, because you're just going to lose people. And from there, we're going to lose people in actually trying to accomplish the main goals of our website, which leads me to my second point, which is that it's so important for you to know the purpose of your website, which means who's visiting the website and what are those people trying to accomplish. We also talk about this in our navigation lesson in our a previous video, where establishing those, who the visitors are and what their goals are, help us so much when we're doing something like curating content. Because if we can establish those, it's quickly going to help us figure out what content's actually needed. You might have a ministry leader with just the greatest heart for a certain piece of your church, and there's value there, no question. But if we make sure that let's say more side ministry of the church gets put right at the top of the front page, it's going to be confusing. It's going to be confusing because that's not really the main thing we're trying to communicate in this very moment. If they were to dive in and want to know more about that information, of course we want that information to be there. But we need to be really curating what's on our homepage, again, all those primary pages, to make sure the right information's there. So if we're saying this website is here for first-time visitors, we want to make sure everything is geared towards that. Follow that path, watch the content you're writing. Does it all cater to a welcoming environment where we're just trying to feed you the most important answers to the questions you're asking, so that you can kind of step through and say, hey, this is great. I got every answer I needed. I feel comfortable getting my whole family ready on Sunday morning to take them to this church because this just looks like the right place, as opposed to, I don't know what these guys are doing. I can see there's lots of things happening here, which, could have the impression of something great. But if it's just confusing and if there's too many things going on and I can't find out what time your services are, I can't find out where your location is, I can't find out whether or not you guys have a youth group for my teenager. There's all those pieces that are so important to a visitor to a website. So just establishing those goals lets us figure out what we want to put and also lets us figure out what we want to remove. My third principle here is to do your best to tell a story. And that's this idea of making your website about your visitor. I'm going to take some principles here from StoryBrand. If anyone's familiar with Donald Miller's book, it does a great job of talking about this. And it's the idea of making your visitor to your website the hero of the story. So often we want to make our church or ourselves the hero of our website. And we can talk about how great we are and you're going to love us so much. But really, it's actually that person on the other side of that screen who's trying to figure out how to solve a problem for them. What are they facing? Can you communicate to them that you understand the problems they're going through, whether that be loneliness, they're seeking God, they're seeking community, whatever it would be. We want to let them know we understand you. This is going to be a great place for you to solve those problems. Here's the plan of how we're going to help you solve that problem. That's you mapping out the steps of what it means to come and connect in at a small group or join us for our newcomers lunch on Sunday. Beyond that, what's the next step you need them to take in that moment to proceed with that plan? Do you need them to fill out a contact card? Do you need them to fill out some specific form regarding or let you know that they're going to be attending that lunch on the Sunday? Well, how do they start the process of taking action to begin to proceed through that plan? And then what are going to be the results? What's going to happen if I take all those steps? Give me testimonies. Give me stories of people at your church whose lives were transformed because they participated in what you and your community are doing. And so I just think kind of following that format is going to go a huge way to inspiring me and helping me understand what it means to actually attend your church, connect in, take the steps and have my life transformed. Does your website communicate those things? And then finally, this kind of falls in line with the last piece I'm talking about, but it's just making sure within your content that you're always providing next steps, making easy calls to action so that people can really naturally follow through with it. I've read through why you do small groups. That's fantastic. Don't leave me at a dead end there. Don't make me have to remember when I get there on Sunday morning that I'm supposed to go connect with someone to talk about small groups, or get me to call the church if it's 8 p.m. at night and I'm like, you're not open right now. Is there a form I can fill out? Is there something I can do to take the action to actually proceed to that next step in my discipleship journey? This is just a really core part of thinking through the content. So I think these are principles that will help any website, specifically a church website, really connect with people, engage with them, and honestly bring about amazing transformation from attending your church. So I hope that's helpful. Thanks so much for the time.